Well, folks, once again, instead of having a radio with a story, we've got a story that has radio. It's this Zenith right here. But before I'll tell you the story, it's going to have to be cleaned up. It is really a mess. Must have came out of a restaurant or something because it looks like there's tomato soup been spilled all down in the grill work. Look at that dial. My God. Definitely cigarette environment there. And then on the bottom, we've got this corner that looks bad. The whole bottom just looks like crap. It's got a, and of course the top, it's got a few scratches on it. The sides aren't too bad, but it is another plastic radio, which really is not my cup of tea. And that's of course where the story comes in. So I'm gonna hit this baby with a little kaboom and a rag. This baby right here. And then we're gonna take a few Q-tips to it. And then when I'm all done, we finally get it cleaned up, we're going to hit it with this product right here called Plastex. Excellent plastic polisher. I got it at Walmart, a couple of bucks. Works great. Well, greetings once again from the corner on the deck. Beautiful day today, Saturday. Oh man, I'll tell you what, it's the mid-60s, a little breezy, but you know, tomorrow's supposed to be in the 70s. Can't wait. Although there's going to be a little bit of rain. There always is rain in Arkansas in the springtime. I wanted to kind of tilt my garden up, but we got rain. I don't know if you're paying attention to the recent weather across the south. We got tons of rain here a couple days ago, and the yard is soaked. So let's talk about a radio instead of the weather. This is a Zenith model H723, and if you were to Google Zenith H723 on the internet, you would come up with a radio. You'd find this radio, but mostly you would find this radio. Don't ask me why this radio is a H723, and because this radio is an H723. Maybe this is an upgrade of this one. I have no idea. This one is Bakelite, and I think it's from the early 50s, whereas I've found all sorts of dates on this one right here, everywhere from 59 to 62. 1959 to 1962, so I really have no idea. I'm just going to have to find something in the middle and say 1960. There you go. 1960 radio, plastic radio. I don't know why, you know, there's no dates on them anywhere. Maybe someone else knows. However, I do have a photofac on it that was kindly provided to me by a feller named Steve on the Antique Radio Forum. Fine guy. I asked somebody if they might have had a copy, you know, or know where I can get a copy, and he provided me one right away. And on the photofac, it says that this is actually three types of models, H723, C, G, and W. But they don't tell you what the C, G, and W stand for. It could be cream color, which is what this one is. It could be green, and the other one could be white. I have no idea, even though this one's brown. I do know this comes in a brown. So anyway, this photofac, by the way, is dated 1962. So maybe I need to revise my my date on this thing around 1961 as opposed to 60. A while back, Rick McWhorter, All American 5 Radio, took a H723 exactly like this, and he converted it into a signal tracer, a piece of test equipment. And I thought that was neat. I said, man, you know, every time I see something, I say, yeah, I'm going to try that, you know. So I waited and waited and waited, and you know, a few years went by, a couple of years went by, and finally an H723 came available on eBay. So I bought it. I don't know what I paid for it, $8, $10. It wasn't very much because it was such a mess. And when I got it, it sat again. It sat in a box out in the shed. It's been out there for several months. I told Rick I got it, and I was going to go ahead and make a signal tracer out of it. But you know, the more I thought about it, the more I thought about it. Hell, I got a signal tracer. It's a Heathkit signal tracer. I don't need to make a signal tracer out of this. Now Rick, he bored holes in his, put switches and probe connectors on the top. And but he told me, you know, in the email, I said, you don't have to do that. He said, you can build a separate box and just sort of wire it in from the back. You know, and then, but the more I thought about that again, I said, why would I want to do that? Let me see what this thing sounds like. So I fired it up. And son of a gun, it sounded really good. I said, man, I do not believe how good these plastic radios sound. This is amazing, you know. And maybe I had forgotten since I was a kid. This is the kind of radio we had when I was a kid. I must have just blanked it out of my mind on how well they sounded. Anyway, AM, FM, 7 tubes. And as you can see, as you saw from the very beginning of the video, it was a mess. It was just horrible. 2 hours it took me to clean this thing up inside and out. I changed all of the paper capacitors in it. There were only 4. Most of the capacitors in here are disc capacitors. And I cleaned all the tube sockets, got everything looking good and smelling good. And I painted this outside edge here. All the gold had disappeared, so I painted it. And I thought you maybe would like to hear what this one sounds like. A Zenith H723. Incidentally, for those who don't know, the antenna, for the FM antenna for this radio is the electrical cord. And here's the way they do that. I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and take the camera off the tripod and give you a closer look. Okay, here you see the ground connection for the radio on the rear and the antenna connection. Now you'll notice that this antenna connection right here has an insulator in it, but it's wrapped around the electrical cord. And this is what gives you your antenna. So by moving the cord around different places, you know, you have to do it every time, you can get better reception on FM. I thought that was pretty slick.
$99 while supplies last.
Now here's the FM.
50% on the final closeout of
got a nice mellow sound to it.
Bed.
And here's your FM and AM switch on this thing. And this is 105.1 the Wolf. Anyway, the bottom line on this thing was I decided not to go ahead and make a signal tracer out of it. I'd rather enjoy the AM and FM. And I imagine that Rick would agree, because he knows I already have a signal tracer and I have a signal generator and a vacuum tube voltmeter and all this other jazz, you know, that you think you have to have. Incidentally, I ran into a guy not too long ago on the internet, said he's been fixing these radios for years, both wood and plastic and bakelite and all that stuff, and all he's ever had is a multimeter. So, you know, here we are with all this fancy equipment. This guy's been doing it for years with a multimeter. By the way, I failed to mention this has a selenium rectifier in it, not a rectifier tube, and it does pretty good for a selenium rectifier. I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in. Someday if it craps out, then I'll change it then. Well, why, you know, the old adage, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know. So here's AM.
You will pray and say to the Lord, God, I want you to save my children.
It's typical for AM. A lot of radio preachers down here on AM. You know, it's kind of interesting. On TV, we call them TV evangelists or televangelists. And down here, we don't say radio evangelists. We say radio preachers. And they're everywhere, you know.
He's able to touch.
It's now opened up a 15-point home lead against number 10 Arizona, 45-30 to early. Todos los sábados.
And more and more Hispanic stations, which is kind of neat. If you want to learn how to speak Spanish, which I think everybody should start doing, at least some words, you can learn a lot from a Spanish-speaking station. You know, you pick up a word here, you pick up a word there. You build a small vocabulary. We have a lot of Hispanics working where I work, and very few of them speak English. So you have to, you know, with them trying their English and me trying my Spanish, we muddle through.
Tiene para usted gran variedad de carteras de piel, joyería, películas, CDs, artículos escolares y de abarrotes. Compadre o cuate, que no le vuelva.
Can Fowler go against Kiwi? Government is defying the judicial branch. He's ignoring a judge's ruling even in the Obamacare case. So what Obama is doing is...
Nice little radio. Well, once again, I thank you for spending at least a part of your day with me and taking the time to watch my videos. And from the corner on the deck, until next time, this is John.
Tell me, have you ever been on a psychiatrist's couch?